Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your girl, Empress Zingha. Today, I feel so happy and so privileged to be sitting in the home of one of the most living legends right now here in Barbados. Today, we are going to be interviewing, wait for the title, Chief Omowale, the Most Honourable, Dr. Anthony Gabby Carter. I get all right, do good?
They did well.
Every time I come here, it's been an experience. Coming in here, sitting with you, and I'm looking around the space at the art. And I think your home is art. The inside of your home is art, but the neighborhood is art as well. Like, if you get lost and you try to find Gabby, ask everybody, what part Gabby house is? Right, go straight down the road. Turn this in. Like, everybody knows where you live. Everybody respects your space. This is a full-on museum. And I am going to start this conversation with how we started when we came in. So, Chief, tell us the story on how you became Chief Omowale.
Can I say greetings to everyone, first of all. Thank you all for watching. And thank Zingha and her husband, DJ, for coming to do this documentary or film or whatever they want to call it. Owen Arthur would be the one who was pivotal in all of this.
Okay.
Remember that we went through many political battles, right? Mm-hmm. But I always loved him because, first of all, for who he was, and secondly, he is a cousin of my daughter, right? Okay. The second cousin.
Okay.
I was sitting in that chair with you, Arno, and my phone rang, and I took it up. I said, hello. I heard the voice say, Gabby, Owen here, man. So I thought it was another friend of mine named Owen.
Okay.
Right? So I said, yeah, man, what's going on? He said, man, I want you to come Bay Street this evening. I come to my office. Don't tell the policeman or anybody nothing, just come in. I got everything organized for you already. So at that moment, I realized, this is the Prime Minister I talking with. You know? So, yeah, Chief. What time? I got there about 4:15, 4:30. And out of habit, I'm going towards where you go to identify yourself and they put down your name in the book. And the policeman waved me and said, no, go upstairs, the Prime Minister waited. When I got up there, Prime Minister said to me, Gabby, would you become our country's cultural ambassador? I mean, as from this moment, you know, I'm not going to wait 74 years. I'm talking about now. I said, yes, Chief. Yeah, over here, man. I want you to get an official passport for Gabby for me. Don't give him the ambassador passport or, you know, something like that. An official passport. Because I don't know if I'm going to be Prime Minister in a few years. I want that he still has that official passport.
Okay.
And Mia said, sure, Prime Minister. He said, I want to do tomorrow. I'm sending him down to immigration tomorrow. Put down the phone. He said, Gabby, that's how you use power and don't abuse power. But I want you to go to Nigeria. Would you go to Nigeria? I said, sure. What's the occasion? He said, well, we have been invited to come to Nigeria because they want to make amends for what role they played in slavery.
Okay.
And they want us to send some representatives. We had planned at first to send about 15, 16 people, but the budget does not allow. We don't have that kind of money right now. So I'm proposing to send you an Eichel to Fari. Okay. Would you go? I said, sure. Next thing I know is that I am on a plane headed to London to go to Nigeria. On that plane, with about half an hour to go before we landed, I can look across the seat. Brother, we going home. I said, yeah. So when we got there, these immigration officials were not very friendly to us. Because a lot of white people come in and they're gone through. So one guy said, where are you from? I say, well, I am from Barbados. And where exactly is that? I say, in the Caribbean. Oh, it is a part of Jamaica. Aha. What is your reason for being here? I said, well, we've been invited by the chiefs. Which chief? We have many chiefs. I said, the king of Elara Court. Our king know you? I said, he doesn't know me. I've been sent here in official capacity as cultural ambassador. And so Ikel accompanied me as well. She said, okay. So when everybody has gone now, this is nearly an hour.
Oh, wow.
Can you tell us your real reason for being in Nigeria? I said, we are here in official capacity to meet. I have meetings with the king and certain receptions and so on. I don't think so. I can see you don't really want to come to Nigeria. So I said, why would you say that? And he's looking at me and I wipe on me and he said, who wants some money? I said, well, I ain't gonna enter because I ain't put in no money. So I realized that. I said, excuse me, right? If the king and the high chiefs know that you have me held here, you might not have a job tomorrow. Are you threatening my job? I said, no, I'm just telling you facts. Okay. Abudi, however name he called. Mm-hmm. Go out there and see if these people say something that could be true, that our kings and our high chiefs are here to meet them. Mm. The fellow went outside and come back running. There are about 20 high chiefs and I am so sorry, sir. and stamp the passport of Ikel first and then mine. I ran. Have you seen them looking for our bags and this and that and that? But when we got outside now, this was about 4 in the morning. It's late night, early morning. We saw all these vans and trucks and things. All looking old and beat up. He said, this is the official. Everybody looks so. You must say, I am high chief, whatever. Please, don't worry about the vehicles. That is camouflage. We don't want to create attention. So, don't worry. Everything is okay. And by the way, they only look like that on the outside. They drive extremely well. So we got in the thing. It's true. And we got to this hotel. And from there, it was first class treatment.
Wow.
It took 3 days of ceremony for me to become a chief.
3 days?
Of ceremony. Oof. And when I finally became a chief, and I looked around, I knew nothing. I don't know who was who, what was what. And the king says to me, these are all of our high chiefs that come to welcome you.
How many high chiefs were there?
I don't know. There were lots of them. Mm-hmm. Here.
Yes.
Those are all high chiefs, and these are all high chiefs. They know who their chiefs and kings are just by the beads.
Yeah, because their picture here too, with you.
Right. That picture is very historic. That is when I actually received my chieftain beads. Wow. Right? Ikel had done so after me as well. And that's the king of Elara here, the Olu. Right? And I went into his office afterwards and all of that. But these are different pictures of different things I need to explain to you and so on. Yeah. Here I am. You can barely see me. And there's Ikel over there. And we are being greeted at a shrine. Right? There is a shrine. Yeah. And the villagers are welcoming us. But you would note that everybody has a top off. Because when you enter in that shrine, you can't go in with a shirt on. Okay. It's a tradition. And so we had many of those greetings in Elara and Badagry on our trip to Nigeria. Yes. I just wanted to show you.
The reason why I started there is because us as a African people, I was going to say Barbadian, but then there's so many layers to us. So let me just say African people.
Yes.
That everything that we, quote unquote, knew from school is that we were enslaved, full stop. Nobody really was pushing the idea that we were more. And the idea of what community brings to the people. And we have a lot of insular problems. Everybody says the government this, the government that. But who is running the government? Bajans are running the government. Where do Bajans come from? Villages, neighborhoods, and so on. So we have a community problem. From your mind, especially with everything that's going on right now, how do we begin to bridge the gap? We have many gaps, not just age gap, but there are many holes and plot holes within our society, and we need to fill them fast.
In my mind, I don't see the gap.
Mm-hmm.
I see the healing and the solution.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's like a surgeon, you go into him and you have a heart problem. Mm-hmm. And he says, there's no heart problem. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know what I need to do to fix that. Okay. For you have the problem. Okay. You have a hole in your heart or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. He don't see a problem. He sees a solution. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's the same way with me. When I say there's no generation gap or no gap, I can't differentiate between the music of Sparrow, myself, a Lil Rick, and say some youngster is 17 or 18 or 20 that doing very great music now. Mm-hmm. Because all I saw was a link. Yeah. And not a gap. Mm-hmm. Right? So I don't, if I say, man, that's old school, that's new school. I don't know what's old school and new school. I don't know. I honestly don't. I know two things. Good music and bad music. Okay. Those are the only two things I see. Mm-hmm. I don't see nothing else. So I cannot be like bogged down on trying to like decipher the little things that go with this and that and the third, and trying to define what is this and what is that.
Mm. So what makes good art? What makes bad art?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, inside of you can tell. Mm. I mean, if you heard a guy playing a guitar here now and it was totally out of tune, which sound my guitar is, and then he's singing out of tune and so on, it cannot be good. Mm-hmm. It's clearly not good. Okay. Right? But then if you heard some quality, like a Luther Vandross, yes, or you heard a Sparrow, mm-hmm, you're hearing quality in class, mm-hmm, right? That's the difference between good and bad for me. Okay. And it's the honesty of saying what is good, mm-hmm, and what is not good. Mm-hmm. But some people say, but art is just interpretation. Yeah. Well, how come that we can identify certain artists on their work and say, that's great? Mm-hmm. I don't care if you came from Russia, if you came from Elara in Nigeria, mm-hmm, or if you came from Poland, mm-hmm, or if you came from Grenada, mm-hmm, we can say, that's greatness. Mm-hmm. Because we know. Mm-hmm. The Spirit speaks to us and tells us. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's not a matter of being biased or prejudice. Mm-hmm. Art doesn't deal with bias and prejudice. Mm-hmm. Art deals with art, and art deals with time, and time deals with art, and time defines art. Okay. Because if it's this generation and it's not good, it passes in this generation. Mm-hmm. But if it's really great, it has no generations. It encompasses all the generations. Mm-hmm. So that we could look at the Mona Lisa and say, what a great piece of art. We all would say that. Yeah. It's classical art. We could look at the Buster statue, yes, and say, my God, Mr. Buchanan did a fantastic job. Mm-hmm. Which he did. He did. Right? So, whether you like Nelson's statue or not, whoever did it did a first-class job, mm-hmm, of lionizing that demon. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, let's be fair and frank. Mm-hmm. Right? So, that's why I can tell you that that's how I define good, mm-hmm, and bad art.
Trojan Riddim come out. Mm-hmm. And well-known artists were on it. And they spoke about guns. Guns on the street. How to get a gun. What the guns gonna do to people. All sorts of things. And everybody had a lot to say. When it first came out, the underground was like, boy, you that hard. And that was the end of that. Everybody went along their life. But then the upper echelons got wind of the songs, mm-hmm, and everything opened up. How horrible these boys were for singing these songs. They should not be playing these songs. Mm-hmm. They should never be hearing any of these songs or any other songs like these should ever be played ever again on radio. The ideas of censorship came about. What are your thoughts on censorship?
Well, I wrote a poem about it. Let me start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Lyric called me yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Right? And we spoke for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
I consider Lyric not as my friend or my fellow artist. I look at Ricky like a son. Do you understand? And I respect the quality and volume of his work over the years. And the fact that he came from such a simple background, similar to mine, I was able to produce that kind of quality so consistently. So I have nothing but love in my heart for Ricky. I don't even want to start with the other artists yet. I just dealing with Ricky. He's the only Barbadian artist I've ever done a dub plate for. It tells you everything. Right? And when he said, Gabbert, how much you gonna cost? I said, Ricky, just stop the foolish talk about cost. They're not cost. Right? But I said to him, I said, Ricky, I wrote a poem. I reluctantly answered the media's call to say something on what occurred. To me, that same video could have been done as classic art without the profanity. That's how I see it. Right? There's nothing at all that I wouldn't do to praise the Trojan rhythm. Okay. It's correct. Right? It's catchy, it's new, it's vibrant, it's modern, and it sounds like something that Barbadians could be proud of. The rhythm. People get it mixed up with the lyrics and the song and the rhythm. The rhythm cannot be criticized constructively or successfully. Okay. It's a great rhythm. Right? It's the lyrical content that I question and that I don't approve. But Ricky said to me yesterday, Gareth, this is underground thing, man. Man, they're blowing it out of proportion, man. They didn't need to blow it out of proportion like that. Right? This thing was going on for 18 months. So I said, 18 months? Yeah, Gabbert, man, we had that thing out there 18 months. On the ground, doing wherever it got. And the underground posse saying, yeah, man, you know, they big up the men and this and that. You know, the men keeping it real and all that. But then the other side comes up and say, oh my God, horrible, it's terrible, right? But again, I would voice it, I'd be honest, I might be wrong. I say, the work Ricky and Lead Pipe and, you know, Fida Ram and some of the other guys did is fantastic. But I don't like this particular one. Because I wrote and co-wrote a song called Gun Tongue. Lyrics came to me, it wasn't rhyming, it wasn't doing anything. And I took it and structured it for a guy called Miguel White. But I was painting a different picture. I wasn't endorsing nobody with no gun and no nothing. Yeah. And for many, many reasons. One of the reasons was, and this is the first time I've seen it publicly, when I was campaigning back in 1994. Wow. I went to a house. I met this guy. So the stupid thing that we Barbadians do is to assume. Don't assume. Find out. There was this guy in this little house in the city. But when he began to speak, I realized I'm dealing with an intellect. So I said, man, you're sharp, man. Let me tell you something, Rick, Gabby. I went to Harrisville, scores the rest of the Rick. They see me, they just call me a rebel because I don't really join the society team, Rick. And we ready. We ready to take over this place, you know. We don't want you in this politics thing, man. You're one of the old men that we respect. I was in my 40s, you know. The youngster, about 22, 23, saying to me, he's one of the old men we respect out here, man. Old men, me tell you, we ready to take over this place, you know. And when he began to talk about how they go about getting the weapons and the this and the that, it scared me. Because I'm thinking, this is not Barbados that I'm in right now. I'm listening to this guy, right? But he and his set of people with that mindset, they're not idiots. Remember I tell you that? These are thinkers. but they were not part of society or wanted to be part of society. They want to rebel, and they want to bring their own thing forward. And one of the ways to do it was to get to arm themselves, right? So I tried to reason with him. I said, man, it ain't making no sense. It ain't making no sense to you, right, Gabby? But it's making sense to me, right? Remember, I went through all the institutions and thing, you know, I went through to the CUE and thing, you know. You understand it, right? You understand at the highest level. I ain't in there with them at all. I with the people, right? So it's like, wow. So that rhythm speaks to that, you know. Not, I don't agree with the lyrics at all. You see the rhythm, it is rooted like this. It comes from the belly.
Very masculine, very masculine rhythm.
It comes from the belly of the people. There's nothing you could do about her rhythm. Because it's gonna be here for a long time. Even if it don't play, it's like a tree growing underneath of the roots and spreading like that. Right? That's how I saw it, and that's how I still see it. So I said, Ricky, I'm telling you, you know you was my son. I do not approve of the lyrics in the song. I said I wrote all kind of double entendre. Dr. Cassandra, hit it, this, that.
The list.
Right? The list.
That one was rough.
All right. So I said, but the point is, I was able to get, even though the list was banned at first, I was able to get it to play. After a while, you realize they really can't keep it banned all the time. There's no libel, there's no scandal, there's no nothing in there that could cause them not to play. Right? But then I had been accustomed by that time to banning because Jack was banned, Boots was banned, One Day Coming Soon, Take Down Nelson, Riots in the Land, Lizzie, you know, Roberta Flack. Yeah. Because they were saying that I was insulting the Queen.
Okay.
Yeah. How dare Gabby insult our Queen? Oh my goodness. Here he is singing about Lizzie. He isn't even calling her Queen Elizabeth. Oh my God, it's so disgraceful. You know, so that's why it was banned. You understand? I have people, I could call me Alfred Pregnant and them on the radio that was totally against me singing that song. Alfred Pregnant turned red, pink, blue. When he heard it, I said, no, this would not be played, at least not by me. And if I had the authority, it wouldn't be played here on Voice of Barbados or Refusion at all. Right? He was adamant. Right? And he and a whole slew of them. So by the time you get to the list, it was like, this is just par for the course. You know, I'm accustomed to this. The Trojan rhythm, I like. And I like,
but not destruction of the content.
But not destruction of the content.
So how do we pivot from here?
I remember I went to do a lecture at Harrison's Colleges and students and things. And I had asked the teacher, I said to her, excuse me, you all still teach that Columbus discovered the West Indies in 1492? She said, well, of course. I said, you also teaching that line? She said, so what would the alternative be for you? I said, the alternative would be to speak the truth and let the students know that this was a liar and that he did not discover no West Indies in 1492, that we had people living here. And you can't discover a place that people live in already, right? And these were people who were trading with Africa for years and years, right? So you can't discover that place. That's like me waking up tomorrow morning and I go on to somewhere in Siberia. Say, hey, I saw a Siberian scenario here. I just discovered Siberia, right? No. You got to stop teaching that Christopher Columbus discovered the West Indies in 1490. That's a blatant lie. And furthermore, let me educate you. Christopher Columbus had 3 boats. And do you know what happened? What? On 2 of those boats were some navigators. Oh, I had all 3. I said, yes, I know all 3 had navigators. I mean, how could he get down without navigators, right? But I mean to say that 2 of the boats had on 2 black navigators from Sierra Leone. What? I said, do a little bit more research. Do you know why he went to Sierra Leone? I have absolutely no idea. The reason why he went is because the Sierra Leone people were accustomed coming down to Barbados and Jamaica and all the other Caribbean islands. They knew how to get down here. And Christopher Columbus heard and went seeking to get some of the guys that could bring the ships down. And he sailed only one ship. And there were two brothers from GineOn that sailed on the others. But on those two ships were the black navigators. Yeah. And that's why they got down here before Columbus. Yeah. Because he came down last. But then he came down and claimed the lands.
The beautiful thing about the whole history of that is that he actually went looking for someplace else.
He went looking for India. And then to India. Yeah. West, traveling west. Yeah. And ended up, when he saw the people who looked similar to Indians, he called them Indians and then called me West Indians. Yeah. I mean, like, we are not West Indians. No, we're not. We are Caribbean people. Yep. But we are not West Indians. And we still, till today, call ourselves West Indians. How could we be West Indians? What part of India are we? We are so far away, right? So that all that is stuff that need to be taught so that we can re-educate ourselves, right? But who is going to do it? The teacher at St. Leonard's or the one at Carson Scholar or Combermere or Lodge or Coaching Prairie or Springer? The answer is no. And not only that, some of them have their certificates. They're well educated in the terms of what we seek as education. But they are not au fait with other facts.
What about the syllabus as well? Because there may be some teachers who may be interested in changing that narrative.
And they have a problem with the syllabus.
They're tied to a syllabus.
Correct. Remember, I was in the teaching thing for 43 years. Unofficially, I am the longest volunteer teacher in Barbados. Wow. Right? Because I have always been in some school at some point teaching, never on the roll, but always in the role. There are only 5 elementary schools in Mauritius that I haven't taught at. Right? Music and drama. But what I'm saying to you is that we have been miseducated. Yes. Highly miseducated. And we are of the opinion that we are so highly educated because we haven't been told the truth. Now, let's get into, say, African studies a little bit. You hear these Europeans claiming that these boys are philosophers here. Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, especially he. Right? And he got a lot of praise for stuff that he didn't do. Right? What they didn't say is that Constantine sent Alexander the Great into Egypt. And he was accepted only for this reason. The Egyptians had banned the Greeks from entering Egypt for 5,000 years. For 5,000 years. So when they decided, okay, we let them come only for purpose of their education. Alexander was among them that went. And when he went back to Constantine, he said, Constantine boy,
got some information for you.
I got some info here, boy. Let me tell you something. When it comes to organizing water in the house, when it comes to building roads, when it comes to schools and hospitals, we far, far, far behind them Egyptians. When it comes to education itself, because see, them boys give you all 7 liberal arts, including maths, science, biology, linguistics, mathematics, astrology. They give you all. Yeah. Them boys way ahead. Yeah. But we got them in one thing. Consti said, what's that? He said, Consti boy, they don't have an army like ours. They don't believe they need it. They are so advanced in so much things that they don't think they need an army. They don't think anybody is going to attack them or anything like that. We're going back and attack them. They plundered, they burnt, they did everything and took back the books into Greece and called themselves great philosophers. So Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, are thieves. They are not philosophers. But we endorse and accept and would not research and take what the Europeans said and say, yeah, there comes the great philosophers. How come they haven't produced any great philosophers since then? Look at the buildings, the architecture.
Yes.
It was all built by African people. Slaves. Look at their road structure that they call, or the Roman road. What Roman road structure? That was done in Africa. That's what the Egyptians had. Right? They were so advanced that they were able to build those pyramids that are still within 1,000th of an inch correct with all the sand shifts and everything that you get up there. Yeah. Right? So the thing is, we have been miseducated into believing that it was the Europeans who taught us, when it was the opposite way around.
How do we now transfer this knowledge? Because we can all, well, for most instances now, people are now trying to rewrite this story with more Afro-conscious things.
More accuracy.
like people are really digging. They're trying to find their source of their families. They are going into books and saying, oh, this is wrong. And they're trying to reorganize and find out more about themselves. But to bring all of that now to present day, how do we get the right people into the right positions?
You see, the first thing that we need to do is to accept that Africa is the cradle of civilization. Africa is where everything stems from, where humanity is concerned. First. Secondly, to acknowledge that that Caucasian fella who calls himself white, white is a new word. The Americans created the word white about less than 200 years ago. People were never called white. Black, yes, not white. Because they wanted to define people by color so that you can have divisions and disparity. So that, because he's Indian, he's white, he's a black, he's a yellow, Chinese, this is brown, right? That's out of foolishness. So first thing we have to do, accept, yes, them Caucasians, them is we cousins, distant cousins, but DNA could prove what we're saying is true. Right? So we dismiss that part. Never feel inferior to any human being, or even superior. It's a thing that my mother herself taught me. She said, Tony, never feel inferior or superior to any human being. Look at them as on the same level. Even if they're the poorest people you've ever seen in your life, even if they're cursing every day, what you may have is a little bit of integrity or a little bit of training not to behave in that manner. But it doesn't make you superior to that person. If anything, it can make you become a person to teach that person how not to behave that way. Once we reach that point, and then we reach the next point. What's the next point? Loving yourself and accepting yourself as being great. Not in a braggadocio fashion, not in a showing off an arrogant fashion, in a humble way, but telling yourself that you're great and that your parents were great, your grandparents were great, and your great grandparents, and down till you get to the greats that came out of Egypt and other parts of Africa. The greatness, right? I accept that if you're the ones, like I said it before, that give the world mathematics, science, biology, architecture, astrology, linguistics, and so on. If that's true, which it is, you can only be great. You descend from greatness. And that's why I said in my song, we descend from kings and queens. The one I wrote for TC. We went through the horror scenes. But God made me backbone strong to show them the right from wrong. Right? So rise up, you African children. Victory is certain. Victory is more than certain. Now, you have that. You had a problem and still have it. That today you have Barbadians and other Caribbean peoples. And you say that you're African, and they go, me? Oh, you're a Bajan? What are you talking about?
Listen,
African world.
DJ did a similar thing years ago. They went on the street.
Yeah.
And he was asking, what do you call Chinese people? What are their
Yeah.
heritage? Oh, they're Chinese.
That's right.
What about Indians? What are their heritage? The people that would have owned like S.Y. Adams and so. Oh, they're Indians. They're Indians. Okay. So what about yourself? Do you consider yourself an African? No, it's a Bajan.
Yeah. Right.
And it boggled my mind. Like, yes, we understand you're not in the geographic location, but your ancestry is African.
But not only that, you see, the point that I had that similar situation, you know. I had a guy. He and I always deny he's African. Man, what African what, man? He's a Bajan. So I said to him, what race is that again? Because I know they have Chinese race, and you have Indian race, and you have the Caucasian race and so on. What race is Barbadian? Man, human race, man, the human race. Right? Because he cannot deal
He can't deal with that.
with it. So I said, but if it's human race, do you understand the meaning to the word human? It has two roots. Hue, meaning black.
Yeah.
And man. So it's hue, man, black man.
man.
That's what you are. You're admitting to me, even though you tried to get away from it, that you're coming home. When they go into the religiosity and they say to me, oh, man, Gabby, you're talking about taking on the white Jesus and the white. Man, look, man, I ain't care if Jesus is white, black, he pink, I ain't care if Jesus is, oh Lord, I love my Jesus. Yes, thank the Lord, I love my Jesus. I said, but what are you doing with the white picture? Look, Gabby, don't get into that. Because you see that white picture, I ain't care if it's blue, pink. I said, let me go and bring a black one for you. To put that where? In my place. To put it in my place, Gabby. That belonged to my grandmother. She had it there for years. And let me tell you, not a soul can move it from there. I said, but you know, it's a false image. No, it's not. I said, you read a verse in the Bible? Yes. The Bible said that God made man in his own image. And he made him out of clay. Right? Dirt. You ever see white dirt? The dirt does be black or brown. So if you make him his own image, you got to make black or brown. And furthermore, they said that his hair was like sheep's wool. You ever see white people with sheep wool hair? No, black people. But furthermore, when they describe his feet, they said it was like burnished brass.
Yeah.
Brass already a kind of dark. And if you burn it, it becomes darker. Right? So I don't need to go no further. Look, I got to pray for you. I can see where you're going with this. Gabby, you're there. I can ask you, Lord, forgiveness for you for blasphemy, because I can see that you're going down the wrong direction. Because they can't deal with the truth. You understand? It's too deep. And it destroys everything that symbolically surrounds them. All the tracks that they get from the churches and so on. A lot of European look guy with blonde hair and blue eyes, right?
Yeah.
And they can't deal with themselves because they can't see themselves as being gods of, of that greatness.
Or calling yourself that. That's
yes.
blasphemous.
Yes. If you begin to have that confidence to call yourself great, and that black is great, and that black is original, and that everything else comes from black, once you begin to do that, you're on your way. The healing and the reaping. The reaping of what? Reaping of success. Because we were made to be successful, It was always black before 16th century Europe. Right? But the Europeans wanted to justify the slavery and all of that. So they created this white God, this white image of God. Right? And it has permeated the societies that brown and black people live now for centuries. If we can get in the belly of that and throw our arrow and destroy it, we're on our way for generations present and generations to come.
the responsibilities of artists, because we bring out so many different things, and we're talking about bridging the gap. Up to today, when we came in here, you were showing us the same stilt walkers that were in Africa where you went, and how people were giving the artists money from the community, how griots were paid for their work and keeping the community traditions, history, story, songs alive. But do we still have that responsibility? A lot of people gonna be like, it's just my art. It's just my art. I really care if it about people. I really care if people like it or not. I'm making it. And who like it, and who don't like it. And if it influence people, alright. But I don't do it for the forward. You know what I mean? I just making art. Do you think that we have a social responsibility as artists?
Yes, because we are leaders. The artists are the leaders in every society. There were about 3 or 4, perhaps more, surveys done in Barbados on what can propel Barbados forward. And every single time it was done, it came out art and culture and art. Because art is part of culture. And culture is everything. I remember saying to a former minister of education, I said, excuse me, sir, but every time you all put the name up, it says the Ministry of Education and Culture. I said, you're saying it wrong. He said, what do you mean, Gabby? I said, it should be the Ministry of Culture and Education. Now, what you mean by that? I said, the Latins got it right. You go to Venezuela, you go to Colombia, you go to any of those Latin countries, it says the Ministry of Culture and Education.
Or
in
just
Spanish,
culture.
of course. Because education is but a part of culture. So the way we walk, the way we talk, the way we eat, the way we drink, the way we worship, the way we bury our dead, the way we born our children, the way we go to school, the way we, everything that we do is part of our culture. And education happens to be a part of that. So that's why you should name it. If you have the two together, name it the Ministry of Culture and Education and not the other way around.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, and he looked at me, he said, Gabby, I never thought about, you're right. I never thought about it in that way. Because for us, this is education. And we looked at culture in a very narrow, a minuscule manner. We looked at it as like dance and drama and poetry. And I said, no. Dance and drama and poetry and songwriting and singing and so on is but a part of culture. Culture is all encompassing. Wherever country in the world that exists, culture is the dominant factor.
What should younger artists be doing now?
To me, the younger artists have become sensitive and conscious. Not just being creators of things, but sensitive and conscious. When I put out this, I'm doing it from here, first of all, and not for the sake of making some money. I have had fellow artists say to me, Gabberts, if I was a you boy writing them songs, but I'll be promoting my thing, I'll be all about the road, I don't care who said that, selling my product, that's first class work there, boy, you tell, pushing it. Cause you gotta make money in this, the artist shouldn't be starving, gotta make money in this, right? I said, trust you me, if the art is really great and the people want it, they'll find it. They always do. See how they found the thing, rhythm, what's name again? The
Trojan rhythm.
Trojan rhythm. They will find it if they need it. Look, when boots, one day coming soon, cadavers, We enforce all the songs.
Another one too, something about Black Man.
Black Man Wake Up.
Black Man Wake Up.
All the songs. When those songs were banned, Eddie Grant said to me, Garrett, don't worry about it. The people will find me, they said. Trust you me. I said, remember Eddie, man, there's on film. We can't get an airplane because Tom Adams had banned the sound, not just in the shop, but on the air.
Oh.
And in the shops. Which is the most, I don't mind the air as long as they're still selling.
Yeah, underneath you can still get something.
Banned in the shops. Eddie said, don't worry, Garrett, me fine. Then one day, I went up to see Eddie Grant at Bailey's. I said, Garrett, it's good news, man. I said, man, I find a friend in Trinidad, man, is going to take all the records we have. I said, what? Yeah, man. And the song became extremely popular. So the artist has a responsibility to themselves and to the country, wherever country they are in. Not just the artists in Barbados. I'm talking overall artists, any part of the globe, right? Because what you do could come back to raise you or haunt you. And you have to ask yourself if you're willing and ready and capable of taking the haunt when and if it comes. And it doesn't have to come overnight. It took the Trojan riddim 18 months.
Yeah, to surface.
18 months. In a pandemic. Where everybody home and you can easily think, you know. A man once said to me, Gabby, let me ask you a question. If you were selling mangoes and you knew for sure that those mangoes you just sold that woman there are going to be rotten by this evening, but you're selling her, knowing they're going to be useless to her this evening at 3:32, would you still sell them? I said, no. My conscience wouldn't let me sell them. Well, Garrett's, let me tell you, right? If it's me, right? And them is mangoes that I buy and I invest my money in them. And I know that by 2:30, I ain't tell she to take, I ain't break she hand, I ain't put no gun to she head until she buy these here. So when she buy them, whatever happened to the afterwards, it ain't got nothing to do with me, man. I said, no, you can't think that. You can't tell me how to think, Gabby, man. I'm telling you that them mangoes off of my hand, whether it's with man that sell me mass, you know that I can get rid of them there in a time. So what's wrong with that there, man? I said, everything is wrong with that. Because you knew. Even if you're 100% sure if he knew, but you 100% know that you know that them mangoes going to spoil for that woman by 3:30, even that she can't get rid of all of them by that time. And that she's going to take the loss. So I supposed to take the loss, right? I supposed to take the loss. I said, yes. Because then you could have a legitimate case to deal with the man that sold you in the first place. But once you sell her, you don't have no case to deal with that's legitimate. Right is right. And wrong is wrong. And so, when the artists do the work, there are three things you got to remember. One, it's their work. They're responsible for it. Two, they put it out in the market. And they don't know if it will go so or so. And three, we all will grow old. And that is like an indelible mark. It doesn't go anywhere.
Especially on social media. Once it's gone, you can't take it back.
And it stays. And you can imagine that maybe 20 years from now, 30 years from now, the guy's now in the 50s, a man like Rick might be in his 70s. And somebody, a little boy, 6, 7 years old. That's the man there that put in nasty words and the nasty things still. So when he young, you know, is he, right? You gotta face the consequences of it. You got to think, not for today. And I call this man here, Eddie Grant, all the time. He always say to me, Garrett, see when I make this music? We're not making it to make some money and people walk up and crop over and go along and forget, you know. 20, 30 years from now, Jack is going to play, you know. I said, Eddie, boy, you really think so? I ain't think, Garrett. I know. Jack, we might be dead But Jack and Emerton and Leroy Han and all the other things that we did with Griner, when we died, they're going to play. You know why? We never made them looking for money. We never made them looking for popularity. We never made them egotistically. We never made them thinking about how big we can look in times. We made it from our hearts, and we made it with quality, for long-lasting quality. He said, look at some of the songs that came out the same time as Jack. You hear them? I said, not really. He said, you think? I said, it's called people business like that. He said, no. Yes, they like it. But if we didn't take our time and record it properly, they would go the same way as the rest. But our hearts and souls, 18 hours and 3 days without sleep and them kind of things went into that music. Right? Commitment. Was it sit in front of the console? Commitment. Was it stand behind that microphone? Commitment to longevity and to artistry and to history and to truth. That's what we're making. We're not making songs to make big money. Anybody could make that. He said, but the one that touches the people's heart and soul for generations, that's the one that we want to make. So that's why I keep saying to you, artists have to think of their role in society. And the role is not minuscule. That role is pivotal, pointing, and in the leadership ledge.
Okay. I know you've probably been asked about this song so many different times by the children during their thesis, extracurricular activities, culture people come and talk to you about it. The 1937 riots has always been labeled as something as a disturbance. It is not really considered a riot. Cars were thrown into a wharf. A lot of people got killed. I think about 14 people were officially documented as being killed and many hurt. 2 things. What do you see in terms of the transition of that now in 2021? And do you still believe, because that seems to be a consensus still, that Bajans are passive?
First of all, throughout the length and breadth of slavery, we had many revolts in Barbados, all unsuccessful. Perhaps the most successful was the 1816 rebellion with Bussa and Nanny Grigg and them, right? Barbarians were never passive. Were never passive. This is a misconception. They were always rebelling. So let's jump a lot of years to the 1937 riots. You have Clement Payne, born in Barbados, went to Trinidad with his parents, comes back, goes to school at Bay Street Boys School. He grows up and perhaps been around the wharf many times. Maybe that's why he would keep his meetings in Problem Square or the other square.
What we know as Jubilee Gardens.
Because he saw what should never have happened, which was between 1836 and 1936, the pay in Barbados was $1 a week. $1 is 24 Barbados cents.
24 cents.
That was the maximum, the minimum wage, right? 24 cents. I know of my mother dealing with 24 cents, and shillings and pence and florins and and things like that, right? A pound was like, for somebody to show you a pound back then, they're real rich, boy. They're people rich. They got a pound here. Pound was worth $4.80 at the time, right? I saw 1 pound. One. And it was a white man was showing another friend of his. In recent times, maybe the 1980s, the pound changed to a coin.
Yeah.
Right? A solid piece of coin. I have a few of them there from my travels to England and over the years. And this myth that Barbadians were passive is so mythical. That is so foolish a thought. Barbadians came, the first Africans to come, came here. They're always sent here because geographically we are the closest island to Africa. Mm-hmm. And then they went on. So then the story came out that, oh man, when the ones won't behave, they sent them to Jamaica. Mm. That was always true. Mm. People like Buster stayed. And Buster wasn't just some rebel who wanted to free slaves, Buster wanted to run the country. But everybody keeps saying, Buster wanted to see the end of slavery. Yes, but that was secondary to his main thought. Mm. His main thought was, just like in Haiti, we will take over this. Mm. Just like Toussaint and Dessalines and them, we will take over Barbados and run it. And of course, the British shot him. And what was sad, that they were always slick. So you know who shot Buster? Not the white people. It was a black militia. Yeah. The black militia, when he saw them coming, he thought it was their people. Mm. So they went to greet them at Bailey's and they got shot by the black militia. Because they always had black people that was willing to sell out at any time, any place, anywhere.
Because of desperation.
Not just desperation. They want to please the British once because they don't want to be oppressed. Mm-hmm. And two, they want to show that they had the skill and the know-how and the tactics to do it. Okay. Right? Okay. Never were passive. So never ever believe that foolishness that Barbadians were so passive. And,
are we passive now?
Not at all. Look at the attitude of the average ghetto fella and tell me that he's passive. He's far from passive.
But people gonna say Gabby does only when things heated, but when it come down to crunch time, is fizzle off. And they just gonna be keyboard warriors and talk enough things from brass tacks, but when it's time for action, it never happens.
That got to me, my generation, and the one that came a little after me. Them and me, them fellas that is 16, 17, 20, 25, 30. They're not talking to that generation. I talk to that generation. And they do not compromise for compromising's sake. They're sharp. Mm-hmm. They focus. Mm-hmm. They're intelligent. Mm-hmm. They're determined. And they're telling you the famous words uttered by the so-called Jews. Never again. I have heard them openly say things. Let me feel that I is my grandmother. Let me feel that I is my great-grandmother. Let me feel that I is my father or is my mother. Why? Because they're not willing to take crap anymore. Right? But they are not organized.
How do we get organized?
That's a question I can't answer because I don't know the answer to it. But what I can say is that if we held meetings among ourselves, plan and strategize, not to be violent, but how to be economically powerful. Now, you have a workforce in Barbados that is, for a small island, quite sizable. I don't think we have the 25 and 30% unemployment. It might happen now in a pandemic. Yeah. If we, the workers, let's say there were 40,000 of us, just for the sake of argument, and we put in $5 a week. $5. 40,000 by 5 is how much?
$200,000. Yeah.
Per week. $800,000 per month. Or in 10 months, $8 million. Remember, we ain't interfering with nothing, We got $8 million in a year. And we can still party, still eat how we want, still pay bus fare, still put in gas, still pay the light bill, the phone bill, whatever it is, the mortgage. But collectively. So that after 10 years, you got $80 million. And after 20 years, we got $160 million. We can't buy sand again. For that generation. What's to stop us from buying most of the plantations? And don't they take 10 and 20% down payment as opposed to 100%? So if something costs $8 million, can we put down 800,000? What's preventing us? We don't have to do nothing special. All we need to do is to take that $5 bill. But you know what business start with? Skepticism.
Yeah.
Put my $5 every week in Wuhan.
To get teeth.
Let me go up there for to get teeth. Let me stand by you here. So the rot continues. Unabated. That can be. Abated. That can be. Stopped. And heal and progress. But it's about trust.
Landship had a big...
The landship had to come the way it did because they had laws and stipulations that prevented black people from saving or from buying anything individually. So they formed themselves into the landships. And they had over 30 landships here, right? In different places. And they were very effective. And that's how Barbados first started, by land and get their own houses and stuff like that. Right? Trust. Trust that it can be all right. In today's world, we got to get back to that. Of having a team of people that we could trust and say, this is our $5 bill.
What do you see of Barbados in the next decade?
Next decade?
Yeah.
It's going to be a more vibrant place. They will increase the population and it will not be Barbadian born. They're going to import people. A lot of them will come out of Guyana by extension because Guyana is going to import millions because of the oil boom. Fossil fuel will still play an important role in the next 50 to 60 years. And then, no. Because we will go to solar energy.
Okay.
We will go to solar energy. They will not be building anything new that wouldn't be solar. With that will come a change in the Caribbean. Because the imports will come from Asia and Europe in great numbers for many reasons. 1, climate. 2, jobs. 3, development. 4, location. And then there's several others. I love my people. I put my life on the line for them. But I also see progress. But it will take time.
Last question. Legacy question. What is it that you want to be remembered for? Or what is it that you want to leave behind?
All I want to leave behind is the work that I have done. Whether it be in poetry, or whether it be in songs, or the amount of times I have found myself in school and with children. Children is the most important thing to me in my life. They don't have to be my personal children. All children, all colors, in every country. I see them as my children. I see that if we treat them right, that they will treat their generations to come right. And it snowballs, and there we are, having a much better world. So people always ask me that, how you want to be remembered? As a guy who did his best in the arts, who loved traveling and meeting other people, but who loved children above everything else in the world.
You're snoring, temperature warming. Somebody lawless, break up your morning. Streets is roaring, too many morning. Pressure soaring, Lord, easy pressure. Lord knows what I can do. Show me what's not for me. pray that I don't lose sleep. You know what my heart seeks. Yeah. You never leave, you never seem to all degrees, can't stop me. You never leave, you never seem. It's hard to breathe, can't stop me. You never leave,